What's up, everyone? It's Dr. Lara Pence here with Understanding Your Greatest Self. So we are in the month of April and we're talking all about emotions and feelings. On Tuesday's episode, we talked about numbing and what are the reasons for numbing in terms of your difficulty in managing and tolerating painful emotions. And today we're going to dive into a topic that I actually really like talking about, which is what is one way that a painful emotion becomes even more painful? And the answer is you. Not like you to me, but like you for yourself, okay? Because here's the thing. We often have core beliefs about ourself as it relates to certain emotions. And I'll give you an example of that. So often in my work, in my office, in this wonderful space, one of the things that shows up quite a bit is that individuals have a really difficult time accepting, acknowledging, and owning when they're angry. And one of the reasons why they maybe have this difficulty is because they have a belief about what it means to be angry, right? And it's usually a belief about themselves. So this belief might show up as, I don't have my SHIT together if I'm angry. Or, I have lost control if I'm angry, right? So there are like deep-seated beliefs that they have about themselves as it relates to that specific emotion. And here's why it makes it more painful. Because emotions happen, right? And feelings exist. And often we actually can't control what arises in us, right? We actually can't control necessarily when anger shows up, or when sadness shows up, or when grief arrives, or when we experience shame. What we do have control of is how we respond to that. But if we already have this painful emotion, right? Like imagine it is the bottom layer of the cake. And then we actually tack on like a layer of an intense frosting that's all about judgment and all about the ways in which we believe that this emotion is impacting us negatively and hitting our core belief. Then you're just going to stack more pain on top of it, right? Because then you're going to move into a state of denial, or you're going to offload the emotion. And that's not going to help the emotion because it's not going to go away that way. You're just thinking it is. So that's like adding another layer of cake, and then you add more judgment and then another layer of cake. It just makes it more painful, right? So it's really important for you to know what are your core beliefs about yourself as it relates to painful emotions. Let's take shame, for example. Shame is another one that shows up in my office, by the way, all the time, because it's the human experience, because we all experience shame, right? However, in my office, individuals really do not like acknowledging that they are in a position of shame. Normally, because as like most of us, they associate shame with weakness, right? Now, I've done a lot of Brené Brown's work, and I know that that's absolutely not true. But even in my own life, sometimes when I'm in a state of shame, I'm like, gosh, why is this bothering me? What's wrong with me? How am I not strong enough to manage this, right? So even I, who feel like I'm a pretty psychologically minded individual, like struggle with that. So I think it's really, really important for you to really begin to take inventory and ownership then of what are the core beliefs that you have about different emotional states as it relates to yourself, okay? Not the judgment about the emotion itself, but what it means for you as the individual when you're experiencing that emotion. So your key question of the week is, what are the core beliefs I have about myself as it relates to painful emotions? And go through the list, right? So anger, grief, sadness, shame, disappointment, discouragement, anxiety. I mean, there's a whole confliction. There's like a whole lot in there, right? Sometimes painful emotions too can be the ones that we can identify as more positive, right? Like if joy is something that's really painful for you, like oftentimes a core belief that individuals have about joy is if I step into joy, it will immediately go away, right? Or if I acknowledge joy and like allow it to show up for me, then I'm being like self-egregious, like too self-confident, right? So again, I want you to just take inventory on that. Like, what are the core beliefs you have about yourself as it relates to feelings? That's your key question of the week. Okay, now come back on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we're going to wrap up this month talking about emotions and feelings and actually end with how to store feelings in a healthy way, right? So that's Tuesday's episode. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Thank you again for all the support. I am immensely grateful all the time. Take care.